who have been. Thank you. By the way, the program is being recorded, and you can go to our Facebook page and request the link to recording. Please sign in with your first name and last name. We like to keep track of that so that we know if we need to send you an invitation for the next month. Make sure you are muted. The chat room is always open. You can chat with anyone. We have closed captioning, and if you have to leave or eat or do something, then just stop the video for a moment until you're back. Thank you. All right. We respectfully acknowledge that statewide we are on the ancestral homelands of the indigenous nations that have inhabited these lands since time immemorial, including the Akchin, Akmel, Odom, Apache, Colorado River, Fort Mojave, Gila River, Havasupai, Hopi, Wallapai, Navajo, Paiute, Pima, Pipash, Wet'suwet'en, Yaqui, and Yavapai peoples. Their traditional care and honoring of these lands allow us to be here today. Next month, our forum will be on April 30th, again from noon to 1:30. We will have candidates, and we will be covering every issue every month. So I don't know whether we're going to have the United for Work or the abortion access. So make sure you check your notices from Blue Tuesday so you can see what issues we're covering and which candidates we're going to make you up close and personal with. Equal is a great website that you can go to with the Secretary of State. And for most of the candidates, you can sign online, and if they are clean candidates, you can contribute the $5 then. Your school board candidates will not be on Equal, so make sure that you contact your legislative district or Maricopa County to find out who your candidates are for school board so you can sign those in person. But go to Equal and you can find, it'll tell you which ones you can sign for. And if you've already been on, it'll tell you, it'll only give you the ones that you have not signed on for. And there's some new candidates in the last month. So please go to Equal. The other way to make your voice heard is through civic engagement beyond voting. And the website is cebv.us. You can give a thumbs up, a thumbs down to any bill that is being heard. And I'm going to share some of the most egregious ones with you today. So if you do have a request to speak or RTS account, please go on about these four. If not, contact cebv.us and they will show you how to get on to request to speak. They have one-on-ones at Starbucks and all different places. They can meet with you. They'll hold your hand while you get registered. So please be a request to speak or RTS member and let your voice be heard. Go to cebv.us and find out how. So Friday was the last day for bills to get out of committees. Tuesday, April 16th, hopefully, is the 100th day of session. Here they are, the evil ones. These are the ones you need to speak up against on RTS. SCR 1010, it would ask voters to adjust state lawmakers' base pay to nearly double to around $45,000. Double. This legislature? I don't think so. Also, Ducey signed in 2021 a bump for rural lawmakers, which allows them to make almost $50,000 a year more than a legislator who lives just miles away from them. So no on that. SB 1151 would allow public schools to post and read aloud the 10 Commandments in classrooms. Right now, public schools are prohibited from including religious and partisan materials. Can you imagine a kindergarten teacher having to explain kill, covet, adultery, and false witness? It'll be a little hard. HB 2095 would expand the School Tuition Organization, or STO, voucher program. This is a program that many of your GOP legislators have an invested share in, so they would profit. Since the STO voucher program's creation, Arizona's general fund has lost out on over 2.1 billion, that's with a B, in revenue. Yet the legislators who are invested in STO vouchers are pocketing huge profits. Meanwhile, our state's public school funding remains in the bottom 5 nationwide. The fourth one, HB 2843 allows the use of deadly force against people who are on their land. This would allow ranchers to legally shoot and kill undocumented immigrants crossing their property. These are just 4 of the most egregious ones. Please speak out against them. Have your voice heard by request to speak. You don't have to speak. You just give a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and you can add comments if you want to. So again, go to cebv.us to register. You can contact your legislative districts, there are 30, your Maricopa County Democratic Party or the Arizona Democratic Party. Find out how you can have your voice heard, find out how you can sign petitions, find out how you can work to get Democratic candidates elected. And if you don't want to remember all of this, then just Google Maricopa County Dems or Google Arizona Dems, and that'll get you to the right place. All right, next we have notes from our chair, Linda Ambrose. Linda, are you there? Linda, oh, there you go.
Good morning. I'm sorry, I'm a little late. I couldn't find my glasses, and I can't read without those. So good morning and welcome to all. Hello, all you dear ones. Good to see our faces, familiar faces. All right, so let us begin. So much keeps happening between our Blue Tuesday monthly meetings that I've given up trying to summarize America's roller coaster political happenings. So today's comments are going to be more of a collage of thoughts, mine and others. I recently watched an historical movie about President Abe Lincoln's battle to unite his countrymen's leaders from the North and the South after the Civil War. He fought both sides with such obstinance and strength because his core value began with the principle of democracy. I was impressed with how the ideals and values being stressed then were so similar to what our country is now experiencing at this very moment, the battle once again for democracy. The stakes are as high as they were then, and we are being asked to answer the same question: who are we as a people, and what do we really value the most? Many more former political members of the Republican Party have been publicly speaking out for years against the possible Trump dictatorship and its danger of destroying our democracy. And now it would appear that policies are almost becoming secondary in this importance of what we're talking about on the political spectrum. And a former Republican chair of the RNC, Michael Steele, has said, I'm not just voting for Biden, I'm voting for my country. There are others, as I said, who have been speaking out, and some of those common sense Republicans have joined MSNBC with their own shows, such as Nicole Wallace, a former aide to President George Bush, in her hour show, Deadline White House, and now in her special hour, she's added entitled Autocracy. The entire year, she will be having speakers on autocracy. And then take, for example, I had listened to her March 5th show, where Nicole strongly urged the Biden camp to defend democracy, not in just supporting Biden's reelection, but in all Democratic 2024 races up and down the ballot. One of Nicole's frequent guest speakers is former Florida Republican Congressman David Jolly, who often eloquently states the reasons for voting Democratic in our upcoming election. And because of this, I will quote, "Only in a healthy democracy are our fundamental rights protected, like the freedom of choices, the freedoms of whether it's a woman's right to choose, the right to vote, the right to choose who you love, and so on and so forth. Furthermore, only in a healthy democracy can we get equity to all communities." And he continues, "Democrats must now take control of the narrative and own and reframe Biden's economy. That again in America's morning, more people will go to work than ever before. More people own homes. The stock market is higher for retirement commodities. Inflation is going down. Real wages are up. There is more access to health care than ever before. And a border bipartisan plan was offered by the Biden Democrats," close quote. And which, as we now know, was later refused by the Republicans as ordered by former President Trump. Jolly ended by saying that Democrats should message such facts often and loudly, while offering reasonable Republicans and independents to, quote, "join us." The Republican likes of Michael Steele, David Jolly, and Nicole Wallace have been joined by others, such as Anna Navarro and Alyssa Farah Griffith, a former Trump aide, both of whom have joined the cast of The View. And they bring provocative and reasonable views to the show. Let us not forget the very brave and forthright Congresswoman Liz Cheney and Congressman Adam Kinzinger, who were the only Republicans on the committee agreeing to investigate the January 6th insurrection. I shall also be always grateful for the courageous testimony of Cassidy Hutchinson in exposing her bosses, Mark Meadows and Trump's evil scheme to overturn the 2020 election. I know the list of such Republicans could continue, but these people and others like them are examples of how we Democrats need to publicly energize the voters and get them to wake up. However, nobody has done it better than our very own President Joe Biden in his March 7th State of the Union speech. As all Democrats and quite a few Republicans stated, Joe knocked it out of the ballpark. That was his moment of turning the corner toward victory. I don't know about you all, but my husband and I got up and cheered for our president like never before. It was an energizing moment. His great skill and strength in speaking to his accomplishments, to his plans for the next term as president, and then his humorous mirroring of the hypocritical, lying absurdities of the Trump Republicans in Congress, all pieced together to make it impossible for anyone to claim that President Biden isn't up for the job that he's currently excelling at. Joe Biden showed he's not done yet. Now it's our democratic duty as citizens to carry forth his message loud and clear as we can. Trump, our opponent to democracy, actually makes it easy to counter his anachronisms and falsehoods with simple facts, facts that we should repeat to others in every way possible. I have a great example from a newsletter of LD3 Chair Victoria Kalslerich, in which she so eloquently states, quote, and I do quote, Trump's biggest mistake this week was his rhetorical question, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? End quote. Victoria's answer was factually reminiscent. 4 years ago, we were in early stages of the coronavirus pandemic. Grocery shelves were bare, toilet paper was unavailable, healthcare professionals were wearing garbage bags for PPE, and everyone was wearing masks, some of those having to be handmade. Deaths were mounting, the stock market crashed, and the economy grounded to a halt. End of quote. And that's but a tip of the iceberg from 4 years ago. So I must repeat that as Democrats, it is our sacred duty to repeat Trump's question to others. Are we better off than 4 years ago? Answering with a resounding no, while giving supportive factual answers that wake up people's memory of what we were actually going through then. Furthermore, I'd add that Biden has helped our country recover from Trump's damage to how we were viewed by the world 4 years ago. We were then viewed by most of the world as becoming a third world country, hardly a forebear of democracy. Yet now, thanks to Biden's skills in diplomacy, communication, and accountability, we have once again become the beacon of light for the world, showing that democracy works for the betterment of its whole citizenry, whereas Trump's future autocracy and those like him work only for the one in charge. However, we must never again relax into complacency because the world is now tremulously watching and waiting for our 2024 election results to see if our frail democracy can stand up to its promise of representing the whole rather than the few. In closing my collage of thoughts, I'd like to end with a few quotes from well-spoken citizens who are cheerleading our democracy's win from within. There's Jimmy Kimmel, who recently said on his nightly show, quote, basically in November, we're going to be voting on whether we will ever vote again, end quote. Then from the erudite journalist Max Brooks, and I quote, if you want to live in the world Biden is fighting for, then you need to fight for Biden, end quote. Lastly, I sum it up with two who share similar thoughts. First, from the writer Brian Tyler Cohen, who said, quote, for the 1 minute you are voting, you are as powerful as anyone in the world. And then from the respected and world-renowned entertainer Whoopi Goldberg, who says on almost every show daily, your voice, your power lies in your vote. I say yes to all those who are inspired. Let's energize, inform, and reach out to all voters, independents, Republicans, Democrats. Let's be obstinately courageous and do it for democracy. Thanks for listening and thanks for caring. And onward now to our very own favorite star and fighter, the bulwark for democracy, Secretary of State Adrian Fontes. We are so blessed to have him. He'll be on at 1 o'clock, I believe. If anyone didn't see him, he was on Rachel Maddow last night, and he was awesome. And it covered Arizona's battle very well. We have wonderful other speakers as well. So Janie, on to your introduction.
Did we lose Janie?
Janie, you're muted.
Oh.
This, sorry. Well, all I said was, today we have two really special candidates for the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. Now, when I became really a 24/7 activist, I realized how important the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors is. And it's just now overwhelming to me that more people don't look at this on the ballot and make sure that these people are elected. Let me just give you something that happened in the last month with our current Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, who, by the way, only have one Democrat, Steve Gallardo, on the board. Remember when we had to replace our wonderful Maricopa County Sheriff, Paul Penzone? Well, according to the law, Penzone had to be replaced with another Democrat. Our illustrious current Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, except for the one Democrat, elected or appointed to the job someone who had been a Republican until 2 weeks before the appointment. And now he's a registered Democrat. That's the kind of shenanigans we have to stop. Our first candidate today is Julie Cieniawski, and she's running for District 2. And I have that on the map. There are many of us who are in District 2. Julie is a wife, mother, engaged community member, career educator of 30 years, and resident of both Mesa and Scottsdale, a first-generation college graduate, and an individual who steps forward when problems need to be solved. Julie is completing her 4th year as a leader on the Scottsdale Unified School District Governing Board. She has served on the Arizona Education Association Board of Directors for 6 years and continues her board service with the family promise of Greater Phoenix. She chooses to be a solution-oriented individual and prides herself on seeking comprehensive options with various input before making decisions. As a thoughtful leader, Julie believes outcomes should produce the best results for those the decisions will impact, while still maintaining the quest for economic efficiencies. She's a person of high integrity and cares about our community's well-being and the future successes of all citizens. Julie believes elected officials should uphold and demonstrate respect for the rights and responsibilities granted to them through our democracy. The integrity of voting is vital to our success as a society. Our citizens should be able to vote without inconvenience or concerns that the elected leaders will not live by the results of voters' choices. Julie was presented with the Award for Excellence in Civic Leadership. Join me in welcoming a stellar educator, outstanding community member, and a candidate who will be one of our best Maricopa County supervisors. Julie.
Thank you, Janie. I really could, I don't know what else to say. Does anyone have any questions? I'm just kidding. I've known Janie through my work on the Arizona Education Association, and I do believe leadership is something that finds individuals based on their passions. I've always been passionate about the schools and the children's opportunities to grow into amazing citizens and find their interests and talents through the support of our school system. And I started paying attention to the Board of Supervisors role a few years ago when I started hearing these stories about alfalfa being grown for the Saudi Arabian royalty for horses and stuff in our East Valley, and using our water and then to grow the crops and then shipping that crop abroad. And I was concerned about that because water usage is something that as a family, we have chosen to replace our yard with natural landscape. And, we try to limit our use of any wasteful water, let alone emissions and stuff like that. So I started looking at how decisions were being made to benefit others rather than looking at the needs of our community first, and ensuring that those needs were first and foremost. And the Board of Supervisors kept popping up on decisions. There was also a decision for Scottsdale Water to be promised on the cheap to Rio Verde, just a little bit north of us. And that also was something that was kind of slid, like on the slide to the community after the fact of promises made. So I started looking at that role as the same sort of oversight as our school district board members provide for our governance at the district level. Same thing. This is kind of how I explain it, because most people go, I don't really know what they do on the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. So the school governing board oversees the best interest and well-being of the school district, including financial and policy decisions. City Council does the same thing for our municipalities. And the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors is split up into 5 supervisory districts. And collectively, we are expected to oversee the best interest of our county, which, by the way, Maricopa County is the 4th largest county in the nation right now. We are, the budget is tremendous. It's like $4.6 billion budget. Most people go, what? What do they do? Some of you might know, Janie kind of alluded to some of this with replacement of vacated positions, including legislative positions, which also has been an issue in this past year, choosing right candidates for replacement into our legislative positions that have been vacated. So they do provide that, but I think something that, aside from the alfalfa and the water, something that I think is really important to understand is that everyone on this call really understands that the oversight of our elections and the integrity of our elections is overseen by the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. So anytime you receive any information, whether it's in writing or through a text, that is provided by the county Board of Supervisors and the elections department that they oversee. That should be very important for everyone to make sure that individuals that are elected into those positions respect an individual's right to a private vote, that they will oversee the interest of the voters and support the outcome of an election, whether they like it or not. Board governance is expected to do that. I know as a Scottsdale school board member, we've had some very serious issues to address in our school for the last 3 years, including stepping into office. First of all, running a campaign when COVID happened, have to be very flexible in adjusting those plans. But then the whole idea of trying to keep our students and our employees and their families safe during a worldwide health pandemic. So there have been times when I have not been on the majority side of a decision, and I'm okay with being a dissenting vote when I feel like it's appropriate. But I live by the result of an election. That's kind of the bottom line. Like, I believe whether my perspective reigns on top or not, I'm going to oversee and support the best interest of the board decision. That's why board governance, I think, is so important. Other things that the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors oversees is public safety. They do oversee the sheriff's department. They oversee the county parks. And in District 2, Supervisory District 2, there are a lot of county parks that are supported by the Board of Supervisors. We have healthcare issues, we have road issues, we actually have education issues that the Board of Supervisors oversees, including an accommodations district and our detention facilities, our youth that have been incarcerated. But I think that is an area that has kind of been untapped when you look at some potential development areas, that what we could do better for our families in our community throughout Maricopa County. Early childhood, child care, things like that. I also believe that our business contracts really should be representing our community interests. Whether it's affordable housing. So recently, the Board of Supervisors overseeing District 2 decided at the last minute to vacate a plan to ensure that finances for affordable housing was to go in this district, District 2. It went to the Far West Valley instead, without conversation with those who had already been in discussion for these plans. So that to me is an issue when you choose for some reason to not represent your constituents. I think that's a problem. There's a disbursement and oversight of funds and expenditures. For example, the Maricopa County education. So the superintendent of public of instruction for Maricopa County is expected to oversee certain financial obligations, and there are some issues going on right now with that, where I think we need to be very careful on ensuring we're selecting individuals who know and care about education for all individuals in our communities, rather than just some. And the oversight of expenditures is something that I will continue to hold in high regard and of utmost responsibility. I often have people ask me, why have you switched your life plan from working with middle school teachers to local governance and politics? And I said, well, I spent my years as a middle school teacher. First of all, that prepares me very well for this arena of politics. Secondly, I spent my lifetime teaching students about civic engagement and the importance of finding collective solutions to problems we have in our communities. I used to have students write bills and try to pass them to the rest of the class on issues that they found were important to them. So I wholeheartedly believe that local governance is actually the thread of our basic democracy. And I see it as a checks and balance, if you will, of our government overall. So I will be on the ballot. I have secured all of my necessary signatures to be placed on the ballot through the eQual system. So all the paper nomination petitions that I have are just icing on the cake. So thank you to all of you. I know many of you played a role in gathering signatures, and I appreciate that. I will continue to be available to speak with anyone's organization or civic involvement group, or card club, or whatever you want, whatever you're involved in, your church groups. I'm anxious to get out in the communities. I've been involved in the communities and will continue to do so up until the election. I won't be primaried, but I think it's really important to understand what the primary holds, and one of the reasons I did decide to jump into this race. The current incumbent is being primaried by a former individual that had held legislative and state Senate leadership positions in our state. And it's the same person who referred to our public school teachers while she was at work, while she was on the Senate floor, referred to them as terrorists. And I take that personally for many reasons. Aside from being very service oriented, I think that's a despicable way to refer to anyone out in our community, because they are passionate about their profession and care about the best interest of other people's children's and giving them an opportunity to be successful. But I felt like it was such a childlike antic, and I don't feel that children should be in such important roles. I mean, I think that we, there are some children that could do better than that and know that the dangers of calling our public school teachers terrorists. So that to me was one of the things that made me decide this is what I'm going to do next. I'm going to continue my role in service and do the best I could do for Maricopa County. At this time, I would like to take questions if anyone has them.
Thank you, Julie. And we do have a couple of minutes for questions. If you would either raise your hand or identify yourself in chat. I loved the way you described the political players as middle schoolers. I think that describes it as well as anything. And I'm glad you referenced some of the unpleasant, harmful decisions that this current board of supervisors has made. We really need to replace them. They will continue to vote and make decisions as they have in the past. Does anybody have a question for Julie? Well, thank you again, Julie, for being a guest today. You are on equal, so we can go on if we are in your district and sign. I presume you are a traditional candidate, so you will not.
I am a traditional candidate, Dr. Heydrich. Thank you. But my equal has been closed off because I topped out my signature collections. There.
Oh, that's wonderful news.
Yeah, it's a horrible problem to have, isn't it? But I would like to reach out, like I said, please invite me to come into your communities and to come into your homes, whether it's through house parties or Zooms or whatever, gatherings, wherever, because I do feel that face-to-face is the best way, not just to meet people and understand their needs, but also to problem solve. So, once elected, I'll continue I meet with people in my community about our schools. I always have, I will continue to. So please do that. And of course, I think everyone on this call does understand that campaigns do cost a lot of money. And a county campaign like this is similar in need to congressional campaigns because it's such a large swatch of land geographically. So it's important to get the word out, and signs will be a way to do that. So I will be asking for donations at some point in time. My contact for my campaign is much more simpler than my last name is spelled. It's Julie C for AZ at gmail.com.
Thanks, Julie, so much.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you mentioned house parties. If you can have a party with 5 or 6 friends and Zoom Julie in, or she'll come to your home, that it's like a telephone tree. Those 5, 6 people will tell others who will tell others. And the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, as Julie said, is down ballot. People don't realize how very important it is that our school boards, our sheriff, so many things are determined by this Board of Supervisors. And we've not had good decisions in the past, since we only have one Democrat on the board. Thanks again, Julie.
Yep, my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Our next speaker is also running for the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, Joel Navarro. And like with Julie, it's so hard to cut Joel's resume down from 67 pages to 1, but I'll give it a try. Joel Navarro was born and raised in Tempe and is a 4th-generation Arizonan. With a commitment to public safety, Joel has served as a trained firefighter and paramedic with the Phoenix Fire Department since 1995. He's presently deputy chief and oversees Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport Fire District and its aircraft rescue and firefighting program. Joel was elected to the Tempe City Council in May 2008 and served 4 terms with a focus on public safety, neighborhoods, parks, housing, homelessness, mental health, drug addiction and opioids, and trade with Mexico. Joel is currently the chair of Maricopa Association of Governments Human Services and Community Initiatives Committee. He serves on state and national committees working on public safety and crime prevention and the opioid task force. Joel earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in secondary education at New Mexico State University and did his student teaching at Tempe High. Joel, his wife Stephanie, and his youngest son Henley live in the same Tempe neighborhood he grew up in. His daughter Jillian is a graduate of Bradley University and is presently a firefighter for the Peoria, Illinois Fire Department. His oldest son, Parker, is a graduate from Ohio University working on his master's. Joel, we're delighted to have you today.
First, thank you, Dr. Hendrick, for having me. This is an opportunity I'm very grateful for, and I appreciate everyone's time here and kind of learning about me. Julie did a great job in describing the roles and responsibilities of a county supervisor, and I think to everyone's point that's being said here is it is an important position. It's a position that definitely needs to have more attention on what the board does and what the supervisors do, and their role, especially on elections. I mean, this is a very critical time in our lives to make sure that our democracy is preserved and to make sure that, you know, we do have competent people on that board to make very smart and rational decisions. And to the point, we, if anything, need more Democrats on the board and more balance on the board. I think with any issues that come up, not only you have to worry about you know, my district, but the other districts too. When you have, you know, W. Lesko and some other people coming on board, you really want to make sure that, you know, the rationale is going to still be maintained throughout. I am running for Maricopa County Board of Supervisor, District 1, which is all of Tempe, Chandler, Gilbert, Ahwatukee, Queen Creek, and Mesa. Mesa is basically a cutout pretty much south of Baseline Road. So this is, you know, a tremendous opportunity for me, and I'm putting my name in the hat, not only just with my background in a variety of different things, but it's about some stuff that I've seen, you know, just into my relationships as a city council member, but also my relationships as deputy chief with the Phoenix Fire Department. The pandemic was a real eye-opening experience for me. I was actually overseeing fire resource, and when the pandemic hit, our coordination and cooperation had to be paramount in terms of making things happen. And when we talked about masks and we talked about supplies, we really saw the impact, not only for public safety, but for healthcare professionals in general through hospitals and then our community. But we also kind of realized there was some real disconnect between state and county with the cities. There was also some real issues with supplies and having enough supplies within a disaster. Those things really have been looked at, and actually were eye-opening for me, and the concerns of how not only as a state, but how as a county we need to be able to have the ability to have the supplies needed in any disaster. And we also have to have the coordination with the state and the cities when a disaster does come upon us. So those are some things in my background that was really eye-opening to me. Yes, I've been in public safety for going on 29 years. When I started as a firefighter, worked my way all up to engineer, paramedic, captain, to where I am at now as a deputy chief. But I think those experiences, especially the experiences in middle management, really has given me the opportunity to understand not only things at a high level as like a council member, but knowing as a board member for county board of supervisors, you do have to have those relationships within those areas, also within those middle managements, because when you oversee things like health roads, parks, libraries, law enforcement, other municipal services throughout the county. You really have to maintain those also relationships at those middle management levels, because when you want to get things done, you want to make progress and real change, those things have to happen. It was mentioned, how important affordability is to each city. Affordability is important to the county. Healthcare is important to the county. We talk about homelessness, mental health. This is not just a city issue. These are Maricopa County issues. And the coordination of those issues have to be done in a way to where you're not working in silos, that you're working together. And when you do those things, you actually spread out the services throughout. And it's not just one city or two cities that are doing majority of that. I feel bad for Phoenix on a lot of things they do for the county. But that's where those things have to happen on a regional level and not just on certain areas of one city. So it's that knowledge, that background that I'm trying to bring to the table. I talk about democracy. It is balance. It's understanding the issues. It's understanding concerns. It's listening to people and really understanding how to navigate. But at the end of the day, we also have to be proactive and pushing in the right direction and making sure that we're doing those things to not only just to improve the livelihood, but to improve just human livelihood throughout our communities, being sustainable in those reaches, making sure that, obviously we have a water crisis. When we talk about expansion of the county and housing and bringing in businesses, which is a good thing for Arizona, it's a good thing for the county, and providing other services that are needed when we do talk about affordability, homelessness, mental health, and all those other things that tie along to that. There's a balance there. There's a balance in how we do that and how we make those things happen. And I think that there's a true opportunity to, as a county board of supervisors, to help navigate those things to a better solution and not to be bombastic on things, to overreach on water rights and overreach on not trying to be within that sustainable guidelines. I think there's a good balance there and making those goals happen. When we talk about education, I think this is extremely important, having the ability to, oversee those things within the county. And when you talk about early childhood development, we started a program. I was one of me and another council member within Tempe. We started a pre-K program within the city. The city funds it. It is now a city fund program throughout. We started it as a grant funding program opportunity using gaming grants and whatever else we had. We also used other resources to get it done and processed. But basically, we offered affordable pre-K. It was free pre-K for people under a certain income, and then it pretty much bars up from there depending on household incomes, going up to the top where you pay full price. But the pre-K is also quality pre-K. I modeled it after ASU in terms of parent or student teacher ratios and master teachers with student teachers. So it's a program that's not just a daycare drop off. It's a program that actually has significant value. And when the studies have done, and we've knew about these studies, is not only are we affecting child at a very impressionable age for pre-K, but we're showing that the program has actually put advancements in those kids. We've had a sample pool for over 6 years of doing this, but to see and tracking those kids and how they're doing in their classes is by far has been the value that we're checking. They're ahead of schedule at kindergarten level, looking at the first grade level. The other opportunity of those programs, because it was free, is we were able to get parents that were not working to work, so that to better their lives and to also get them educated or take the time to get them educated while their child was at pre-K. So I think when we talk about early childhood education, these are programs that we can implement not only just in cities, but throughout the county. And I think I have a blueprint on those programs as we go forward. When we talk about public safety, obviously we talk about the sheriff's office. We talk about the things that are going on there and the oversight that has been given by the federal government because of previous sheriffs, so to speak. And we know who that is. But Joe Arpaio really kind of put us on the map in a bad way, and now we're paying the price on those things. And Paul Pinzone, God bless him, he's done a great, fabulous job. And I know the issues that in terms of electing the sheriff in place, but we do have an opportunity to have an election for a sheriff that we can get behind. And I think when we talk about all those issues collectively, once again, the board does oversee all those issues and has to make sure that we're doing it in a proactive and a very balanced way. So I think through my background, of a wide variety of committees, starting ever since I was an Eagle Scout, and I mention that because it's very rare to find an Eagle Scout out there. I've always been involved in community and community service throughout. I really never thought I would get involved in politics, to be honest with you. I was asked to take a seat at the city council level. But once I got into that position and I saw that you can actually make a difference and make changes, it's very passionate of mine. It's a very passionate feeling, knowing that, I can represent my community and make those changes. Do I please everybody? No, that's impossible. But you do your best job on being as balanced as possible to make the right decisions and then to make moves that are strategic, knowing that you can't be bombastic about making quick moves. You have to be able to finesse those moves. And I do have a wide portfolio of making those things happen too. And I think this would be a great application on the county side. And I really do look forward to it. And at the end of the day, campaign wise, it's been really positive out there. I do have a candidate for the primary, possibly. We haven't really got to know the person or if he is going to turn in some signatures, but I'm gearing up for that. I do have enough signatures, so to speak, but I say that because I never feel I have enough. So I will ask everyone who's out there who lives in District 1 to go online and to sign my petition. It's Joel Navarro for Supervisor.com. And very easy to see that signature button. And there's also a donation button, because as we know that these elections can't happen without funding. And for this county race, it's going to be an expensive race. And we have to get the message out there. You have to be able to get in front of people, and they have to be able to know who you are. And as much as I hate fundraising, as much as I hate asking people to, give me money, it's a thing that we have to do. And I represent that Democratic Party, those independents that would stand with me. And in order to make that happen, obviously we need that funding to make that happen. So please go to my website on that. And just as Julia said, I do want to be out there, at any committee, any neighborhood gathering, talking to people, really get to know me, throw out some questions, and really just try to make a impact on who I am and what we can do, and get some people behind me. But as we've seen in the last races, especially at District 1, Jevin Hodge was one candidate that ran against the current incumbent and was 400 votes away from de-seating that person. So there is opportunity for us, especially with my history with the East Valley, growing up here in Tempe, born and raised here, and also really a lot of connections of myself with educators, firefighters, police officers on the East Valley side. I'm hoping that my name does get out there very quickly. We do have to make a real impression, especially as we get into the general election, on whoever Jack Sellers does have a candidate with Mark Stewart, and however that primary turns out for them. We want to gear up, but we want to gear up especially with a good amount of money and good amount of viewage by people out there knowing who I am, to really get behind this campaign. So with that, if there's any questions, I appreciate everybody's time, and this has been awesome.
Thank you, Joel. The 67 pages of your resume really point to your qualifications for this position. And we know from your history on committees and commissions that your decisions are going to be the correct ones. And we support you as a candidate for that. But I have a question. There must have been an OMG moment or WTF moment when you thought, I've got to run for Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. What was that moment?
So I actually was still I was putting my name in the hat for running another term for Tempe City Council. But after reflecting and kind of looking at what I've done and where the council is, and it was my time to step down and just look at something new. And as I was thinking about that, I looked at the Board of Supervisors, and kind of diving in, just like Julie said, understanding more of the county and the role and basically the impact that they have. I just thought, with my background, with what I have, my wife, she has great relationships also with the East Valley. I think collectively both of us thought this would be a great opportunity to put my name in and go for it. And I'm really encouraged with that decision. It's actually exciting. This is a partisan decision, so to speak, but it's a bigger step, and it's a wider impact on a variety of different cities. So I was like gaming up for it. It's actually got me some energy. I've done council so much that I think that I'm like kind of was getting into old hat, which is horrible to get into that mode. So this kind of really put some life into the election, and I'm excited about doing this.
Thanks again, Joel. And good luck to both you and Julie, and for everyone, whether you're in 1 or 2. When Julie and Joel win the election, they'll be joining Steve Gallardo, and we'll have 3 out of the 5 Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, and that's what we need, because we've spent too much time in the last couple of years going, no, they can't do that. So good luck to both of you.
Janie, if I may, there's also another good Democratic candidate, Daniel Valenzuela, in 3, so Supervisory District 3. So the Democrats are coming hard for the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, and with quality candidates. And Joel, I look forward to working with you.
Same too. Thanks for saying that. Guys, I have to jump off for another meeting. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, let me see. Here we go. All right. Our next guest is the Blue Tuesday Forum's favorite son, Adrian Fontes. As a former Marine, father of 3 daughters, an attorney, and an elections administrator, Adrian has spent his whole career fighting for justice and democracy. Public service is in Adrian's DNA. Growing up in the border town of Nogales, he was surrounded by exemplary role models. Adrian's grandfather, Florentino Ortino Fontes, became a U.S. citizen after serving in World War II. And after taking on several jobs to help his own 6 children graduate from college, Tino Fontes became the mayor of Nogales, Arizona. Inspired by his grandfather's service, Adrian enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. Serving his country taught him the importance of dedication, discipline, and sacrifice to fight for the American dream. Upon graduating from law school, Adrian spent his career advocating for justice and fighting for the vulnerable and disadvantaged. As our county recorder, Adrian revolutionized a broken, outdated, and unjust voting system by making elections more accessible and more secure than ever before. From day one, he immediately got to work professionalizing the operation and implementing a comprehensive plan in advance of Election Day, securing polling locations, recruiting and training poll workers, and educating voters on where, when, and how to vote. At a time when anti-democratic forces are undermining the right to vote, fueling conspiracy theories, and undermining the public's faith in our electoral process, Arizona's democratic processes are being defended by Secretary of State Adrian Fontes. I love those new pictures. Today, I have a special announcement and invitation to all of you. Adrian is having his 54th birthday. I'm one of the hosts for his birthday because Arizona has so much to celebrate with this man. Please join us. I'll repeat the RSVP information at the end of our program. For now, please give our favorite son a rousing, rowdy welcome.
Jeannie is
Woo-hoo! Yay, Adrian!
Thank you so much. Hey, I don't know if anybody was watching Rachel Maddow last night, but the camera
Yes.
angle was so weird. I had to take my glasses off, and I feel every ounce of my 54 years. But we're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna keep working. Thank you for that introduction. How's Blue Tuesday going? It's wonderful to be here with you yet again. I love this group. I can't wait till we're back in person, and I hope that'll happen soon. I am thrilled to death to be here. I am thrilled to death to be doing the work that I'm doing, particularly because it really is the most important work that we can be doing. Every right can be traced back to the right to vote. And the work that this office has been doing and continues to do is really, really critical. Right now, we've got some folks down on the second floor. They were outside this weekend because the executive tower wasn't open, taking filings from candidates, getting their petitions in, because that work never stops. Some of the behind the scenes stuff that our folks have been doing is as important as the upfront stuff that you've seen and heard me doing. Everything from just logging in all of those petitions so that we can get them out to the counties for their signature verification, to working on our computer systems on the backside, really improving some systems that have been just kind of let go for a long time. We have a server that we just recently replaced that was 11 years old. Think about that. Anybody that knows anything about tech understands. And there's a lot of stuff we couldn't do until we replaced some of these systems, until we fixed some of the backroom architecture that had been neglected for a very long time, going back several administrations. And so one of the jobs that I had as Maricopa County Recorder was cleaning up a mess, and looks like that's my lot in life. So I'm very happy to do it. I'm very happy that I have an administrative team that is with me in this. And what our end goal is to make sure that this office is running as well as it can for our voters, for our small businesses, for our libraries across the state of Arizona. In fact, I was working with some folks just yesterday. I don't know if you guys know that kids show Yo Gabba Gabba. You may have seen kids or grandkids watching that. DJ Lance Rock was at the Talking Book Library, where we serve over 5,000 customers, and we have 550 independent downloads of materials that were recorded at Arizona's Talking Book Library every month. That is a phenomenal statistic. We serve veterans, we've served the blind, we serve people in rural Arizona. We've got stuff in Braille. We do so many other things other than just elections here. And speaking of, on the business services side of things, while I'm not on elections, real quick, we are working on making sure that we can take care of everything we can in our business one-stop program. And why is that important? Well, it's the small businesses, the entrepreneurs, the startups that turn into the economic engine of Arizona. Many of you have had your own small businesses that turned into good-sized things. And I've even had a small business or two in my day. Some did better than others, but at the end of the day, it's that economic engine that runs things. And Business One Stop is really one of those things that may have been created under a different governor administration, but it makes a lot of sense because an entrepreneur's got to go to the Secretary of State's office. They've got to go to the Department of Administration, the Department of Revenue, the Corporation Commission, and do all kinds of things. In today's day and age, it just makes sense for them to go right to one website where they can get all of their paperwork for the state of Arizona taken care of, so that they can start doing what they're doing. And we love the results of this. We've seen some entrepreneurs in Thatcher, Arizona, out in Eastern Arizona College with the Chamber of Commerce out there. I've spoken to a young woman who created much of her business using Business One Stop. And she sells freeze-dried candy via the internet all over the place. And she uses that kind of connectivity that comes from a $42.5 billion investment from the Biden administration under BEAD. It's the broadband extension across the country, and we'll swoop it from the help that it's giving greater Arizona in broadband into the help that it's giving election administrators with broadband, because that sort of internet connectivity is important for all of our activities. Think about this. For the first time ever, we coupled with a small business out of Gilbert, Arizona, to get Starlink technology up into rural Coconino County, Navajo County, and Apache County. I had someone drive the units up into the most rural parts of Arizona so that our voters out on Indian reservations could actually be have their voter registration stuff connected to the internet so they could vote the right ballot and have those ballots actually counted. And that is one of the developments that we're excited about. So a lot of the things that we do connect back and forth to one another in the different sectors of our office. But that's a smart way to do business. We've adopted a low code, no code move forward on our architecture to make sure that we can take care of things without worrying about individual programmers coming and going out of their careers. We can in perpetuity make sure that we don't have to be struggling administration after administration to update the things that we do in our office. And speaking of the things we do in our office, I couldn't be more proud than to be engaged. Our community relations team has gotten me out there into all sectors, working with folks of all ages, of all genders, of all socioeconomic positions. We're just touching folks across the entire state of Arizona with the good word about elections and election administration. And I could not be more thrilled to have also sponsored a table at 1 in 10, an organization that helps LGBTQ youth. Just this Sunday, Nicole and I, the lovely Nicole, who, if you come out to the birthday party, you will meet her, was my honorary co-host. And we, just the two of us, raised nearly $100,000 for that organization, just to make sure those kids that get rejected out of their house just because of who they love or how they identify, that they get the services they need. So from the social to the electoral, from the business to the library stuff, we're firing on all cylinders in this administration. I could not be more happy than to partner with my good friend, Attorney General Chris Mays, in a lot of the work that we're doing. We've got strong communication with the governor's office among the staff. We're continuing to reach out to our partners in the legislature on both sides of the aisle. And I'm doing my level best to make sure to represent the state as well as can be. But I don't want this to be a lecture. I'd love for it to be a conversation. So as I wrap here, think of your questions. I'm sure someone will tell you how to ask them in a minute. But let me finish on this one note. I was, and as many of you know, the only candidate for any executive office in any party to visit all 15 of Arizona's counties during the primary. I will continue to make sure that Arizonans across the entire Grand Canyon state have the kind of access to me as an elected official that they can. Now, does that mean some personal sacrifice and giving up some time with my family? It does. And frankly, my teenagers could give a hoot because they don't want to spend time with their dad anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. No, I'm just kidding. Love them, love hanging out with them. But this is the job. This is what you have asked me to do, and I will continue to do it with strength, with honor, and with our constitutional republic in mind to make sure that we get taken care of as voters, regardless of our party, as people, as we get treated with dignity, as business folks, that we get the respect we deserve and the speed in government service that we require, as folks who are hoping to have intellectual freedom, as customers of our libraries and archives and the services that they provide, and as Americans, to make sure that we continue to protect our democracy. So thank you for your continued support. It is critical. It is vital. I'm very excited that we are where we are. I love to see folks again. Thank you for your support. It is so important to me. So Dr. Heydrich, my dear, I will let you run the question and answer here, and let's see what happens.
Okay, well, you call me Dr. Heydrich. I'm going to have to call you Secretary of State or the Honorable Adrian Fontes.
All right, Janie. We'll dispense with all that.
We do have a question popping up from Morgan in chat. And again, if you have a question, either raise your hand or put it in chat. But Stephen Slagaki has put in the URL for the birthday party. And I know you want to give a birthday gift for our Secretary of State. So please click on that, or even better, come to the party. Before we get to the questions, would you please tell me, or I mean, tell the group, I am giving an amount every month to support what you're doing in travels around the country. Tell me what that is. It is incredible work that will benefit anyone who has democratic values. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. One of the things that we've been doing, and look, I'm a politician, and money makes these things happen. I'm not going to dance around it. We have to have support. But one of the critical components that we're working on, and I think one of the reasons why this is so big of a deal, is I'm spending a lot of time across the United States. I am running all over the country, working on bringing money into Arizona, into the political action committees that are going to be working Arizona. And I'm doing that out of my campaign. I do have a separate leadership pack that we're just getting started to start doing some of this stuff, but it is my campaign proper right now that's incurring a lot of the costs of my travel, my hotels, to make sure I can get in front of those donors, to make sure I can get in front of those donor advisors. A lot of people don't know there's a whole career out there as a donor advisor. You basically tell billionaires where to put their money. I'm telling them, put your money in Arizona. Let's have a professionalized state party. And that's one of the reasons why we actually have finally a full-time paid chair, because I went out and I banged on doors and I made some folks. As a matter of fact, quick story, I was sitting across the table from one of the guys who kind of runs one of these political action committees. And I said, I know you've been thinking about it. There's your phone. Call your finance guy right now and cut the check. Tell him to cut the check. And he just looked at me and I'm like, I know you can do it. I know you want to do it. Just call him right now. And the guy picked up the phone. He called his finance guy, and he says, go ahead and cut the check for Arizona. And he goes, okay, Monday, fine, let's make it happen. And that's because I was there. That's because I could sit and look him in the eye and make that happen. Now, that's a hell of a lot more money, that check that he cut, than I would ever be able to take from anyone for my campaign. But it's because my campaign supported my being there that I was able to make that ask and get that result. And that's one of the many reasons why we've got a full-time chair, and we've got the strength that we're moving forward with in Arizona right now. And it's not just the state party, but a lot of the efforts that we're pushing on. So really, I'm playing a support role to a lot of the rest of the Democratic ticket up and down the ballot outside of the state of Arizona. I've got to keep on the road. I've got to keep doing these things. And you're helping me do it, make sure that as much as possible gets funneled into those things. Obviously, I'm going to have a big bank by the time we get to the end of the year for my own reelection campaign that's going to start up way too soon. But any little bit helps right now, and we really are supporting it. And thank you if you do send us a little birthday wish as well, because I don't ask for birthday gifts. It's actually for the campaign, but it's sweet. And my mom might actually be there. So those of you who get those little postcards will be able to kind of fawn all over her too. I'll try to get her. I'll try to haul her over there. It'll be fun.
Great, that'd be wonderful. There is an adorable question from Morgan. I'll read it. My wife, who is a huge fan of yours, as am I, was a little worried about you when you didn't smile during your Rachel Maddow bit. Can I assure her that you're okay and we're just being serious about that topic?
Oh, I was hungover, to be honest with you. And, fresh brunch on Sunday started with mimosas at about 8:30 in the morning, and we went all into the evening. I'm not going to dance around it. We're all adults here. I had a great time on Sunday, all day and into the evening. And I'm getting a little old. So by the time I hit Monday evening and a full schedule, it was catching up to me a little bit. So, but no, I mean, it was a serious topic. And to be honest with you, I wanted to portray confidence. I wanted to portray strength, the subject matter that we were prepared for. You guys know me. I like to have a good time and I can have fun and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, this is about reassuring the general public through that medium that we are ready, that we are prepared, and that we're taking it very, very seriously. So with you guys, I get to cut loose a little bit and, talk about this and that. But when it comes to helping folks across the country who are doing a lot of hand wringing and are really, really worried, leadership requires sometimes that you just have to be that reassuring voice. You have to be that strong force to really help build confidence in people that are doubting, that may not have faith, that may not feel good, and that sometimes requires a little bit of seriousness. But with you guys, I'm all smiles, and I feel a lot better because Alex just brought me a Diet Coke. So
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming today and telling us about your position as Secretary of State, but equally important, if not more, is what you are doing across the country. And I would encourage people to go, Stephen, I know you'll put that in there too, in the chat room, to contribute to you, even though you are not a candidate for 24. You will be a candidate after 24, and we need to fund your travels across the country so that money is coming to Arizona for the correct purposes, not the right ones, the correct ones. I want to invite people again. Oh, good. Stephen just put it in the chat room. So there's the Act Blue for Adrian. And please either contribute or, more important, come to the birthday party. You have all three requirements now for becoming a candidate for President of the United States. Just wanted to remind you of that.
what are you talking about, Janie?
So
What are those requirements? I'm curious.
well, you've been a resident, you at your age, and there's something else, a third one. Oh,
My
that you
rec-
were born in the United States.
Oh, I thought it was my receding hairline.
Oh, no, that just makes you more adorable. That's all.
That's so sweet of you. Well, before I go, are there any other quick questions that I might be able to answer for anybody, Janie?
No, and Stephen has also put his phone number in. So if someone thinks of a question, oh my gosh, I should have asked him this or that. The phone number is there and you'll get a one-on-one answer.
Perfect.
Thanks
Well,
again.
listen, I just want to, again, as I log out here, reiterate the fact that the other side is trying to get us to lose faith in one another as Americans, and I think people are starting to feel lonely for the folks on the other side and feel bad for them. Let's maintain our dignity. Let's maintain our humanity. Let's maintain a posture of forgiveness as we push past all of this. Be grumpy that they made bad decisions. That's fine. And hold them to account for that. But at the end of the day, if we lose faith in one another as Americans, then the bad guys win. So, this is about compassion. It's about hope. And I really want to make sure that folks understand that the work that we do, particularly behind the scenes work outside of the state of Arizona, is making a real difference right here in the Grand Canyon State. So thank you for your continued support. Thank you for your faith in me. Thank you for everything that you've done to keep us in the fight and to keep me out there throwing punches. I appreciate you, Blue Tuesday, and I cannot wait to see you all in person one day because it's been too long since we've had Blue Tuesday hugs, and some of us deserve it.
We missed you, Adrian. Thank you.
Love you guys.
Okay, so here again is the invitation to the birthday party. It's also in the chat room. It'll be a lot of fun. And if his mom is there, oh my gosh, it's really going to be a celebration. An invitation to join us April 30th. We will have candidates and we will have at least one of the issues represented, Arizona abortion access or the Arizona Works Together. And there's another one, and my brain is fried. But please join us April 30th. We'd love to have you. Thanks for joining us today, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of March and April.
And happy Earth Day. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Janie.
Steve,